What's going on, fragrance family? It's your man Gator, better known as the novice nose out here in these fragrance streets. You know, they say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Well, if that's the case, there's quite a few fragrance DNAs out there that are getting flattered to death right now. One of those inspirations, or one of those fragrances that I'm talking about, is a fragrance from the house that shall not be named here, called Pacific Chill. Now, that fragrance has been done to death, it seems like, over the last year or so, and it looks like they just keep coming, those inspired by us. And I mean, it's a popular fragrance DNA. Well, one of the newest out there is from a house that I have been really keeping my eye on recently, and that's Rayhaan. Rayhaan did a great rendition of Creed Centaurus recently that I just kind of fell in love with, man, in their Crimson fragrance. Well, they took a crack here at Pacific Chill with their newest fragrance, Pacific Aura. Now, again, this is one of the newest inspirations out there, and how does it measure up to some of those other ones that are out there right now? Well, as you can see by that dent, I have spent quite a bit of time with this fragrance, and I got my own opinion on that. So, you know the drill, guys. We're not even gonna take it to the table. Let's go ahead and bring it to the wall, guys. Go ahead and pull up, and stay tuned. So, again, the fragrance that we're talking about today is this guy right here. This is Rayhaan's Pacific Aura. I really like this bottle. I like that gradient there, that light green to blue gradient, gold caps, beautiful thing. And it's actually a magnetic cap here. The bottle is actually really, really nice. This is my favorite part of the bottle right here, though, guys. Watch. Look at the spray, the coverage that you get on the atomizer here. This is a really nice bottle presentation, really nice atomizer. Let me get a little bit on skin here so that you can see it. Really nice, man. I'm impressed by this. All right, guys, let me get into the note breakdown on this thing. I mean, it's the usual suspects, to be completely honest. So, top notes are blackcurrant, mint, bergamot, citron, mandarin, and coriander. Middle notes are basil, carrot, and rose. And then your base notes are amber, ambroxan, and fig. So again, the usual suspects when it comes to Pacific Chill DNA, right? So let me get another spray of this because I actually like this a lot. So as soon as you spray this fragrance, you get that blast of the apricot here in this fragrance, that fruity nature here. Now you will, if you've actually experienced the actual Pacific Chill, which is one of my favorite DNAs, I actually own it, you will notice right away that there is a difference in the way that this thing presents. Now, while the apricot blend, the fruit blend, and with the blackcurrant and everything, it's got that little tartness from the blackcurrant and everything, while it's a lot closer than most other inspired buys are to that the original fruit blend, the fragrance comes across a little bit fresher here. While the original Pacific Chill has more of a pungency in the way that apricot and that fruit comes across, almost like an over-ripened type of smell to it, this one actually comes across a little bit fresher. So what I'm thinking is happening is, I don't even think it's really an oils thing. I think that they're actually going for a fresher take on that original Pacific Chill DNA. That being said, the fruit blend itself is really close. It's just that it doesn't have the realistic pungency. It just comes across as a little bit less realistic, I guess you could say, than what it does in Pacific Chill. For some people, especially people who have really had experience with Pacific Chill, they may find that as a little bit of a letdown when it comes to how this thing presents. Now, to add to that freshness, of course, is the mint. Now, while the mint kind of uplifts the pungency in the original Pacific Chill, in here it just kind of marries into the family actually, it just kind of, adds to the fresh aspects of this fragrance. Now, one of the other things, I mean, it's not a photorealistic leafy style of mint. It's not really that way in Pacific Chill either, though. But it is blended very well, and it marries perfectly with the freshness that this fragrance has. Now, one of the big differences between this fragrance and some of the other inspirations out there, and even the OG fragrance, is the style of coriander that they use in here. And it's not like a lower quality per se style of coriander to the OG. It's just a different style of coriander. So the coriander in here isn't really used as much for like a spiciness or a depth. It's used more to freshen this fragrance up. So what you're getting that coriander doing is coming in and adding a little bit of an airiness to the fragrance, but it's also adding almost a little bit of a nuttiness to this fragrance, a little bit of a woody nature in the background of this fragrance, which is a little bit different than a lot of the other inspirations that are out there, and even the OG. So this one comes across off skin. After you get into that like 20-30 minute mark, you can pick up a little bit of a nuttiness in the background on this thing. It feels a little bit more crisp. It feels a little bit almost woody in the way that it starts to dry down. This adds to that fresh aspect. I keep mentioning the freshness of this fragrance in comparison to the original and to some of the other inspirations out there. This one goes in the direction and leans into that airiness more than it leans into the wateriness of the original and some of the other inspirations, more than the aquatic like a Rare Reef or some of the other inspirations do. This one just goes into this direction of more airy, more fresh than anything. Now, in all honesty, it is a deviation from the original Pacific Chill. It does kind of lend itself, actually, though, to being more of a utility fragrance for like higher humidity environments. It doesn't have the aquatic nature. It doesn't have the density as far as in the dry down. Doesn't have the watery nature there. But it does have almost a drier, fresher take on that original DNA. And like I said, the utility of this is going to be great for like high humidity areas. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself as far as like the utility of this thing, but let me get into what you're getting. Like I mentioned the linear nature of this initially, and it does kind of stay the same with like very minimal development as you get into like that hour to 2 hour mark. You're really just getting something that maintains kind of a fruity fruity nuance to it going into that hour to hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, but at the same time keeps going in that fresh direction here. So it never really loses the freshness. The fruitiness of it does start to kind of dissipate a little bit within that third hour. So you're kind of missing it then. But after that, to be completely honest, it kind of stays linear. You're getting something that's just going to be fresh, slightly musky. It doesn't even have like a powdery nature to it, but it's going to be a lot drier than most of the other inspirations of Pacific Chill. Now, when I first smelled this fragrance, for comparison's sake, the one inspiration that it reminded me a lot of is this one right here. This is Penis from French Avenue here. This one is actually not the worst rendition of Pacific Chill, but it's a lot sweeter than Pacific Chill is, and then the fruit blend is completely off in that one. It goes to like a lemon and orange as opposed to apricot, which the apricot is what really makes Pacific Chill like the standout style of fragrance. It doesn't have those things. It opens up dense, almost frothy at the top. When you first spray this on, you get that density as well. Not quite the same volume of density, but you get a little bit of that same density. Now it quickly dissipates though, and you see what they're starting to do as it goes into that dry down. They're just allowing this thing to become a little bit more airy in the way that it presents. That one has a similar thing going, but it's a lot sweeter. This one is a like 10 times better version of what I think French Avenue was trying to do with this particular DNA. Now, when we're talking about like longevity and everything, there's a lot of divisiveness online about this. Some people are saying they're getting 12 hours, just kind of like any other Pacific Chill inspiration right now. Some people are saying they're getting 2 hours, and it's just very disappointing. For me, off skin, I'm getting somewhere in the range of about 5 to 6 hours. Projects pretty good for that first hour and a half to 2 hours or so, and then it kind of slowly starts to shrink into being a skin scent. Now, with something like Rare Reef, where it has kind of that exponential drop off, like you smell it for that first hour and a half to 2 hours, pretty projecting, pretty strong, and then it boom, just hits that wall and drops off to becoming like a skin scent with like strong sillage. This one actually just slowly starts to kind of shrink into the skin. So where you get to the point of where it gets into like that 4th and 5th hour, you're looking at a skin scent in general here. Now, the sillage on this one is not the best for me. I'm getting somewhere in the range of about a good hour and a half, 2 hours of strong sillage, but then after that, that dissipates as well. It's not like with Rare Reef, where even though it becomes a skin scent, the sillage is still kind of popping. This one actually kind of goes, you know, the sillage kind of goes down along with the projection on this. So you're getting a good 2 hours of strong sillage, and then after that kind of shrinks down into like you know, very minimal sillage here within that first like 3 hours or so. It's Gator, boom, 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 from the future, boom, 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 boom. All right, man, so one of the things that I said in the video just now, I'm in editing right now, and one of the things that I said in the video is a misquote here. I said I was getting 5 to 6 hours off of skin. Actually, I'm getting 6 to 7 hours off skin, so let me run in and correct that. I had 5 to 6 hours sitting up on this board here that I was using to kind of analyze another fragrance, man, and for some reason I keyed in on 5 to 6 hours on that board, which that fragrance has nothing to do with the Pacific Chill DNA or anything at all, but I had to want to jump in and correct that. 6 to 7 hours off skin, which is actually pretty decent for a fresh, man. I like it. I think it, like I said, it's going to be good for high humidity situations. I think this is for people who just want something that's going to be a lot fresher version of that DNA. This would be great for that. It doesn't smell like super synthetic or anything like that. It actually comes across really nice, really pleasant. It's not my favorite inspiration of the Pacific Chill DNA. It is not. But I think it has great utility. And if you have like a couple of other inspirations, it takes a diversion that the other inspirations don't take. So, you know, while Rare Reef goes like aquatic and, you know, a little bit denser and it's a lot more interesting fragrance, this one just keeps it light, keeps it airy, keeps it fresh. And I think that if you're somebody that's going to be on the go and just want to pick up a quick fragrance to spray on, to smell real good and, and fresh as you're kind of going about your day, this might be the one that you want to pick up. I think that this one is one that will get a lot of use for me as we're going into the summer, especially when we get into those like humid days in Atlanta, man. This will be a good one to pick up for that, man. That's all I got on this particular fragrance, guys. What did you think about it, guys? If you put your nose on it, let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share this video with somebody you know that loves fragrances. And as we always say, guys, whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, make sure you make today the best day ever on purpose. Peace out.